Okay, this is Jordan Wardell doing my freshman seminar final presentation. You'll have to uh, drawing a blank on the word here, but forget about the guerrilla photography here. I could not get my recording software to work properly. So let's begin. I consider myself someone who's used technology quite well all through my life. Started with video games and graduated onto computers. I now use computers every day between work and school, so I always wanted to do something involving that. And I found that keeping my adaptability in business. I'm sorry about the quality here, but I found that most of my interests led me to go for a business degree or business management. I haven't entirely decided between the two. Let me see. So, I found that my best learning style was logical. For me, knowing how something works is the best way for me to continue on. In my presentation here, I use an example of a electrical circuit. Once you know how an electrical circuit works, you can expand upon that idea using, light switches or, alarms or dimmers or what have you. And just for me, knowing how something operates, like I said, is the most fundamental aspect for me. I don't like just knowing that something works just because someone said something worked, because expanding on it past that, like if someone told me what 1 plus 1 is and I don't understand why something is 1 plus 1, or why 1 plus 1 equals 2, and then you give me a question later on that's 1 plus 1 minus 1, and I didn't understand 1 plus 1 in the first place, you can see where my issues stem from. I consider my greatest strengths my adaptability and my familiarity with technology. Like I said earlier, I use it basically every day. In work, we use them for checking in and checking out guests from the hotel. I also use it for Netflix when there are no guests to check in or check out of said hotel. Sorry, I was blocking the lens. With my familiarity with technology, my adaptability, I consider is quite strong as well. Just due to there's always a new program, there's always a new way to attack a problem, and that sort of thing. And I always like to be able to find throughout all of the potential ways to solve a problem the most optimal or most efficient or most effective, what have you. For me, my biggest weaknesses are just putting things off until the day they're due. Really, in all things, like my yard, I tend to put off until it looks so bad that I have to force myself. And even this, I'm recording this the day that it's due, 2 or 3 hours before the time limit, because on one hand, I like having, that you have 4 hours or so to get this done, but at the same time, I could save myself a lot of time and energy by just getting it done anytime that I have free time, such as, at work, or when I'm just laying around watching TV or just watching things on YouTube, that sort of thing. And through this class, I've found a lot better ways of rationing it. I've learned, different ways of thinking about issues, Not saying, oh, this is due on the 6th, so I'll do it on the 6th. Finding free time that I'm not wasting, so that way later on, I have a lot less stress. I've a lot more time. I can go back. I can touch up projects that I'm not happy with, and I don't have to rush out the door with the first draft that I have. That sort of thing. The communication standards, especially going into something with a business degree, communication is obviously essential, whether or not from a managerial role or from a direct employee to a customer role. They're obviously paramount to the experience. Let's see, is my main example was for me to communicate with staff, possibly if I'm acting in a managerial role, anyone under me, I need to be able to talk to them. I need to know, all right, they need to know what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, what they can do better, that sort of thing. And having staff that's properly informed, has an open communication, the better that they know what they need to do or what I need to do, the better that they can do their jobs. So it just makes life easier for everybody. And yeah, generating revenue. Yep, that's the idea. The biggest resources for me, mostly due to me primarily being an online student, I found that the counselors are what I've taken most advantage of. Because not having a lot of time physically in tech, knowing where I should be taking the most advantage of resources, or making sure I'm taking the right classes, making sure I'm in the right programs, finding various scholarships, that sort of thing. They have been far and away the most helpful thing for me. The libraries as well are also incredibly useful. Just like it says on here, having access to a incredibly large amount of information on nearly endless subjects is incredibly powerful, and everyone should be taking advantage of it. A lot of times they'll have books for your class. Pardon me. There's a lot of times they'll have books for your classes, and you may be able to get out of getting a book for a class if it doesn't have a stupid online code. But that's another thing. Alrighty, that's everything. Thank you.